Welcome to my channel, guys. And today, our salutation of the day goes to Peter on Twitter. Thank you very much, brother, for your support. I want to ask you a question, guys. What is this bad thing that Ruto did to President Uhuru Kenyatta? Because whenever the president is talking about his disagreement with the deputy, I think literally Uhuru gets mad, very irritated, looks a very frustrated man, and actually high-tempered. And someone might think that if Ruto might be around, I think he can really receive some blows from the president. Today, the 7th of February, the president was presiding over a universal health coverage conference in Mombasa. And I listened to the 20-minute speech. At the tail end of that speech, as it is his norm, he normally goes a little bit informal and try to say other things. So he took a swipe at William Ruto, directly telling the critics of the government that most of the things are not done in the rooftop or in the top of the cars, but the things are done in office. It is evident that Uhuru normally gets irritated by the fact that William Ruto talks about some of the things that Jubilee government have achieved. And before I give you some few seconds to listen to Uhuru's speech, I want to ask you a question. Do you think William Ruto has a right to take credit for what Uhuru's government achieved in 2020 in second term? Think about it. But before we divulge more on that, take a second and listen to Uhuru's speech in Mombasa.
Tumesonga na story ya watu huko kupepeta huko kwa mikutano, kuongea mauongo huko, haiwezi badilisha yale yamefanyika. Tunaelewana wenzangu? Let us remain focused. Let us remain focused. If there are things that are not right, that's why you're here, to help us, tell us, here we can do better, here we can do better, here we can do better. Lakini mambo ya kuongea maneno matuputupu huko, hakuna kitu unafanya. Yeah? Unaenda huko, huko yeah? Kazi haifanywi juu ya gari, inafanywa kwa maofisi, kwa mahospitali. Yeah? Ama ni namna gani wenzangu? Kazi inafanywa huko hospitali. Nasa endi huko kusimama kupiga mtu. Unajua mimi leo nimefanya, anaingia ICU, anaingia ward, anaingia theater. Nakwambia jameni, hii dunia yetu ya Kenya tutaona mengi, lakini ni sawa tu.
So that is the big question. And Uhuru gets irritated by the fact that William Ruto talks more sometimes in his campaigns about what the government has done. Now guys, in this video, I want to look at why really some 5 reasons why I think Uhuru Kenyatta wants Ruto to disassociate himself and his campaigns from Jubilee achievement, especially in the second term. But before we do that, if you're watching this video for the first time, take a second and subscribe. Also click the notification bell so that whenever I publish a video, you'll be receiving notifications. It is evident, and it is in public domain, that after Uhuru and Raila had the handshake on 18th March, William Ruto decided to isolate himself from that pact. And I am saying isolate because some people might argue that he was not part of it. William Ruto is on record saying that Raila approached him first before approaching Uhuru, even though Tuju said that was not the case. But he is also on record saying that Uhuru was briefing him and briefed him before the handshake. So he knew what was going on. But then he had two options. He had Justin to be part of it, continue. From within, he would understand what the handshake was all about. Then he would negotiate his take from there. And I want to believe, guys, I think the president only changed his heart to support Raila Odinga after William Ruto ran away from the handshake and decided to sabotage it. If I was William, I would have just stayed there with my own skeptics and with all my doubts. If they say right, right. They say left, left. We just go, let that BBI pass. Then I negotiate from that point, because he's supposed to vie for presidency. So if BBI was to pass, so what was to happen? But I don't think that really, as many, we normally, Ruto takes credit for the fall of BBI, but I think the fall of BBI had something deeper. I normally think, one, Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta might have decided to take it to a break. Second, it might also be wars between executive and judiciary. But I don't think the wars fits the bill. The judiciary and executive wars fits the bill to stop that BBI. Now, to our topic. After he excluded himself, he actually ran with the narrative that BBI was out to scuttle his presidential bid. So he went on a campaign mode. He was launching projects here, projects there. Some of the projects were faulty. So when Uhuru was talking in somewhere, I think in Kajiado, he said that I will send my deputy and ukuje huko akitangatanga. Then from that moment, they ran with the word tangatanga. Now up to date, they are Tangatanga Brigade. I don't know, but I think nowadays they don't refer to themselves as tangatanga. Now, that is what happened. And Uhuru finally decided to support Raila Odinga. Now, one of the reasons why Uhuru gets bitter and angry with Ruto taking credit in Jubilee's achievement is, one, he left the government after isolating himself and started early campaigns. So according to Uhuru, he normally feels like Ruto sabotaged his legacy projects. And the things that they had promised Kenyans in the second term, William Ruto turned his back on them and opted to go for politics. And that is why, when he made the Jubilee PG in State House, he told them that Jubilee Party is now back to politics, because initially tulikuwa kwa serikali and they were working. So they want to show Kenyans their track record. Do you think he's just to do that? Because again, William Ruto knew that for you to stage a very good presidential campaign, he needed to start campaigning. I think I'm not blaming him for doing that, because even Raila after 2013 was campaigning all the way to 2017. And even Raila has been campaigning all along. But of course, Raila is not in government. That is one of the reasons, the early campaigns. Secondly, I think Uhuru gets irritated with the double speak, because William Ruto have become a master of double speaking. When he goes somewhere where he thinks that people are receptive of government projects, he will always mention what has been done there by the government. And again, the double speak is normal in this way. I listened to his speech when, especially, I wanted to be keen when William Ruto is talking in Western Kenya, mostly in these areas, Western counties, the Nyamira, the Kitale, Kakamega, Bungoma, these areas. He will always refer to the power connection. By design, he normally picks the power connection because that is one of the major milestones of Jubilee government. But listen, in the first term. So he does that. First, that is isolating him, saying, si hapa tumefanya, tumefanya. I can remember when he was saying that in Kilgoris, that some few people had connection, but in Jubilee government in 10 years, although he makes it in 10 years, but I don't think the power connection was a big project for Uhuru in this second term. But Ruto makes sure he talks about that and he picks that because that was, he believes that that was, he was active in government and he's active in it. Secondly, the double speak is normally seen this way. In deputy president's office, and at some point I have interacted with the director of, I think, the person who was in charge of this, building these TTIs, that is in the office of the deputy, he will go and say how they have built vocational trainings in different counties. Of course, that is in his office, so he has the rights to talk about it. But then, the finances or whatever he has achieved in the office of deputy president, that was allocated to him by the president. That job was given to him by the president. So Uhuru at some point tends to feel like William Ruto is not appreciative and is speaking what is good for him is bad for him. And doublespeak is also that at some point when he realizes that the people are hostile to the government, especially when it goes to the coast, he will talk about negatively about the land issue, and indirectly he can actually not attack president, but his foot soldiers, the Rigathi Gachagua, and now the new backing dog, Musalia Mudavadi, will always back off about the failures of the government. So the issue of the double speak is also an issue to president. Another thing that I think is also causing discomfort between Uhuru and Ruto is the issue of the public debt. You know, they have crafted this issue of telling the country, under patronage of Musalia Mudavadi, the way the country is broke. And Uhuru feels that Ruto was part of this government. And in the first term, they did a lot of infrastructure. In fact, one thing that Ruto takes credit on in this SGR, on the other hand, Musalia is talking bad about it. But then you realize that their plan in the first term was to invest in the infrastructure. Then the second term came the Big Four agenda. So he feels like Ruto seems to be someone who is out of government, does not understand what was their game plan. Because according to Uhuru, he once said that he will not shy away from borrowing for infrastructure because that is the bedrock of economic uptake. So that is also one of the reasons why he gets so irritated with Deputy President. Thirdly, I think this unspirited anger towards Deputy President is also retaliatory or revenge on what is happening the other side. After Omwami Musalia Mudavadi joined UDA, they have held rallies in Nakuru, Bungoma, Kirinyaga, I think those are the ones I remember, and Mombasa. All these rallies, the punching bag is being Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, state project, you know. So guys, Uhuru might actually feel like these people are just too much on him. And that's why they are talking too much. And so he will take that opportunity to respond and tell them that whatever they are saying in the rallies, the achievements and the things they are saying they want to do in the rallies are not being done in those rallies, but are done in the office. But I think, guys, that's my analysis. But again, what do you think? Why do you think he's just so mad at William Ruto? There was this issue of business interest. You will always listen to William Ruto talking about the Fuliza. Have you ever asked yourself, there are many other mobile money products. There's even a Mshwari. There is a Mshwari, there is Fuliza. Where do William Ruto likes talking of Fuliza? This is because that's one of the points they separated, they differed with Uhuru Kenyatta. Because that program is being implemented Safaricom and NCBA. Initially, it was supposed to be implemented by Safaricom and I think Cooperative Bank. And William Ruto, if it was done by Cooperative Bank, William Ruto had insiders and he will get some kickbacks. So there's also issue of how these business deals are also separating them. And he really knows that there are things, this is the truth, there are things that happened at the site of President and Ruto, and they all know. And he knows that in the case that any gets to power, he's going to cut throat of the other person. If Ruto gets it, he might cut the throat of Uhuru Kenyatta. If Uhuru gets it, he might also cut throat of Ruto. So I tell guys that the 2022 presidential race is between Uhuru and Ruto. It is just like Ruto is vying because he's viable to vie. But Uhuru is not viable to vie, so that's why he's vying in the name of Raila Odinga. But the battle is between Uhuru and Ruto. Everyone is pushing their interest because they still want to be in government. And so, guys, that is my analysis. And you can also get to a comment section and tell us, what do you think this is? Do you think this is going to be healthy? Their difference and their public uproar is going to be healthy for the country? Talk to us. And why they don't get eye to eye.